Napoleon Bonaparte once said, if you want to do something well, do it yourself. Don't let other people do it. Today, we're going to discuss some of the things that when you start your farm, you can actually implement yourself with using freely available, plastic bottles. Today, we're going to be specific on plastic bottles, things that are going to reduce some of the costs that are incurred when you start your farm. So this is Africa Farming. My name is Samuel, and as always, this channel is focused on new generation farmers like I am, right? And new entrants in farming who are willing to learn new farming experiences and farming practices. So if you're new here, you can take a second or two to subscribe and click on the notification bell so that YouTube can actually notify you whenever we have a new video that is posted. And to our subscribers, thank you so much for always supporting us. We are here because of you, and without you, there is no us. So I'm sure one of these fine days you've seen these street families in garbage areas where they're picking either garbage cans or garbage or trash cans, depending on where you come from, picking plastic bottles. Some have even come to your farm or your plot or even your house to ask for these particular plastic bottles. And you ask yourself, what are these people going to do with these otherwise presumed useless plastic bottles? Trust you me, when it comes to your farm, it is very, very important that you should know that these plastic bottles can help you a bunch, especially when it comes to cost reduction in maintenance of your farm. So today, we're going to discuss some of these things that you can use those plastic bottles for and how you're going to practically use them in your farm. Number one, water filtration. A home remedy for so many people. Sometimes you might find yourself in a camping situation in your farm because most of these farms are in rural areas. Or let's say you've just gone to visit somebody in an area where there is no clean water, but you have your plastic bottle. Trust you me, you can filter that water very well. And now, how do you do it? Now, the first thing is, if you have, for example, your 500 ml bottle of plastic water, let's say plastic bottle, that is empty, what you need to do is to cut it into half, right? Remember, this plastic bottle has a lid. Open that lid. Now, the top half of this plastic bottle should now be immersed into the bottom half of that plastic bottle. Now, the first thing you need to do is to kind of drill a hole or poke a hole into the bottle cap or the bottle lid, yeah? You can use a heated pin or you can use a heated screwdriver to actually drill that particular hole on the cap. Now, once you've done that, tighten the opening that you had opened with this particular drilled bottle cap, then immerse it, as we had said, upside down in that bottom half. What I didn't tell you is some of the things that you need also, apart from just the plastic bottle. You will need cotton. You will need sand. You'll also need some sort of activated charcoal. And as well, you will need some sort of gravel. And these are readily found, especially in rural areas. So they are not things that are difficult to find. Use the cotton to form a bottom layer on the top half that is upside down. Now, once you've actually placed it very well, you can now take some bit of sand, right? The sand that you have, and create a second layer of, a second layer of your filter. Now, once that has been laid out very well, you now have, remember, you have the activated charcoal, which is activated charcoal powder. You can freely get whatever it is that you are. Pour that activated powder to form the third layer of your filter, still on the top half that is immersed upside down. Then once that is done, now pour a second layer of sand on top of the activated charcoal layer. Immerse that particular, pour the sand. Once you pour the sand, the last layer, which is the fifth layer, should be that of gravel. So just pour kidogo gravel on top of the second layer of sand. Now, once that is done, you're ready to go to filter your dirty water. So go get your dirty water wherever it is that you can get from the stream, from the river, or if it's readily available, just get it from wherever it is that you are. Now, pour it slowly on top of the gravel, which is the first layer from your visual point of view. Pour it down slowly until the filters are actually saturated. Now wait for it to drip down through the 5 layers as we've discussed. whatever it is that you'll get on the second, or rather the bottom half. Remember, we cut this plastic bottle into two. So the top half is immersed upside down on the bottom half. That is where we're going to collect this clean water. So whatever it is that you collect on that clean, or rather on the bottom half, should be the water that is clean and very much filtered. So try that at home, and trust you me, you will actually live to remember this particular day, and you'll never throw away your plastic. Now, the second thing you can use your plastic bottles for, especially those 2-liter soda bottles, you can actually create a very nice zero electricity cooler, or in some sort of a way, air conditioning for your home. Now, how do you just do this? It's very simple. Get a very nice board that is almost the size of your window. Then perforate it evenly. Open those 2-liter bottles, insert the necks of these particular bottles on those perforations. You get those bottle caps that you had removed, just slice the upper part, which is always the cover, and the lower part, which is the thread, you hold them tight. Now, once you've done that, take that board that already has the bottles on the window and just wait for that room to be cool. Go try that at home, wherever it is that you are, especially for some of us who live in hot areas like Kajiado. This has actually come in handy. As you can see on your screen, that is actually how it is made. So the third thing that the plastic bottles can come in handy on, as cooks. I know women love to cook, and some men also love to cook. Sometimes you might want to separate, when you're probably preparing your egg, you might want to separate the yolk from the white. You're at home, very far from a convenience store or a supermarket, where you can't get help in terms of, separating the egg yolk from the white. The first thing you need to know, of course, you must have the egg. So take the egg from wherever it is that you are, get a clean container, crack that egg, pour the contents into that container, then take that empty bottle that is open, press it at the middle so that it actually gets all the air out, and still in that position, take it close to the yolk, the yellow yolk, yeah? And until it's close enough, until the mouth even touches that yolk, and make sure this particular bottle is very clean, yeah? So once you get close enough to the yolk, you can now release your hand from the press, your fingers from the press, and now the air will be sucked back, and in the process, it will suck the yolk into the plastic bottle. Once you've done that, get a new container, and go with that particular plastic bottle and now press it so that you can release the egg yolk that was sucked in the plastic bottle. And that is the only way that you can separate your egg yolk from your white at home with a plastic bottle. I'm sure it will come in handy one of these fine days. Now, another thing where you'll find plastic bottles very handy. Have you ever bought your crisps and you've eaten probably half of it? Maybe you're okay, you're satisfied, you don't want to eat anymore, but now you don't know how you're going to seal that particular plastic bag. So plastic bottles can come in very handy. So what you need to do, get a plastic bottle. As I've said, it doesn't need to be big. It can be even the 300 ml plastic bottle. Now cut at the neck where you just get the neck and the bottle cap. You can dispose this other part because we will not need it in this particular process. Now once you've done that, take that plastic bag that contains the crisps and insert it through that neck so that the neck kinda is outside and the plastic bag comes in through the neck. Then once that is done, spread it evenly and take that lid and close it tightly. So once you've sealed it with that particular bottle cap, you can test to see if it is airtight by placing it even in water so that you see even if it's watertight, because that is the whole idea of you sealing it with the cap instead of a rubber band or the way we normally traditionally do it with, our hands by, the way we do our shoelaces. Most of us always seal those bags, plastic bags like that. But that is not airtight. So this is a solution where you can use those plastic bottles to create an airtight seal for your plastic bags. The fifth use of plastic bottles in your farm that you'll find very handy. Sometimes you might find that maybe you need sprinklers in your farm or in your homestead, and even watering cans, but you don't have the cash to buy that. So what do you do in case of that? You get a plastic bottle, perforate it, right? perforate it probably on top or even round it. Just make some few perforations. Then where it's open-ended, where the bottle cap is, remove that bottle cap. Place your hose pipe from the tap and insert it. Just take that hose pipe, insert into the opening of that particular plastic bottle. Then take a wrapper and wrap it, a tape, and wrap it around so that it can hold the hose pipe firmly on the opening end. Then once that is done, go to the tap and open your water, and you should actually have a homemade sprinkler that will help your plants. When it comes to the watering can, it's very easy. In this case, you can even get a 5-liter plastic bottle that you're not using. Get that lid and make perforations on it. It can be as many as 7 to 10. Before you close the lid, of course, you have to put in water into the 5-liter jerry can or 5-liter plastic bottle. Then close tightly. Once you've closed tightly and you go to your garden or your lawn, you can actually use that as your watering can. So those plastic bottles will come in handy when you really need to sprinkle around your farm or your homestead, and also when it comes to watering your plants. So take note, don't throw away those plastic bottles. Another thing that goes hand in hand with sprinkling and watering is drip irrigation. Sometimes the cost of setting up a drip irrigation system in your farm might be very expensive, yet you might be living in an area that does not have enough amount of rainfall to support rain-fed agriculture. So what happens in such a case? I've seen what people do, and I think we discussed this in one of our videos, where you get plastic bottles, perforate them, get 2 or 3 holes on the opening can, close it, make a hole, a bigger hole on the top side, which is the bottom side, of course, when you do bottom up. When you do bottom up, the bottom becomes the up. So make just a small hole, a bigger one than whatever it is, the perforations you made on the lid. So on this particular top hole, which is on the bottom side of that plastic bottle, is where you'll be pouring water into. So once you've done that, plant that particular water bottle directly towards the roots of that particular plant that you want to irrigate. Or if, for example, you don't want to plant it, you can hang it just next to that particular plant so that it can drip the water that you've actually inserted into that water bottle. So that is also a very good use that goes hand in hand with sprinkling and watering. Another use for these plastic bottles in your farm is there are people who stay in urban areas, and maybe you don't have a big farm. You maybe have a backyard and all that. You can create what we call a vertical hanging garden with your plastic bottles. Now, for those people who live in Kenya and are around Nairobi, the perfect example could be the new Nairobi Expressway. Now, this Nairobi Expressway, if you look at the beams that support the road itself, you'll find that there are some plastic, some sort of plastic containers where they plant flowers in them. That is the perfect example of how you can use plastic bottles in creating a vertical hanging garden. Now, a vertical hanging garden is just created by, coming up with those bottles. They're actually strung together in a vertical position and placed against walls or rails and all that. In the Nairobi Expressway example, they're actually been placed on the beams that support the road. So that is a perfect example of how they use plastics to, do some sort of a garden. Now, did you also know that you can create a greenhouse using plastic bottles? I actually didn't know until I did research on this. This one I'm gonna try out. I've tried the rest, but this one I've never tried. But when I was doing my research, I realized that it's possible. Now, what you do is you have the 4 corners, of course, of your normal house. Make sure you have very stable corners. Once you've set up the stable corners, come up with what we call long sticks or bamboos, but make sure their width or girth should be able to go through those plastic bottles. So you can place them. Of course, you'll do the frames on, for example, 3 sides, 2 on the long sides. So if, for example, your greenhouse is facing that side, it means the long sides will be on that side and this side. So make sure you have frames on this long side, that long side, and one of the shorter sides. Now, the other shorter side that you will not have the frame is where you'll have the door. So let's leave that aside for now. So on these three sides where you have the frame, make sure you have those sticks where now you'll be hanging your plastic bottles, and they'll actually fit themselves in, as you can see on the screen. They'll actually be fitting themselves very easily, perfectly, and once they are closed together, these particular sticks, the long sticks where the bottles are actually going through, should actually be nailed on the frame, both on the top and at the bottom. So you nail them so that they're stable all around the three sides. That's how you create your do-it-yourself greenhouse. But that is a very easy DIY for a greenhouse, which I'm going to try it out. When I do it, of course, I'll do a video on that. But you can try it out wherever it is that you are. It's cheaper than having an actual greenhouse, and yet it serves the same purpose. Now, lastly, some people might actually be doing ornamental bird farming. There are people who are very passionate about rearing birds for ornamental use or whatever use that you do. So those people who do farming in such an interesting field, you can actually use plastic bottles to create feeders for your birds, right? This is now where we need your creative game, where you can come up with different designs that will actually make these birds feed very well with regards to these feeders. So as you can see on the screen, that is just one of the examples, though you can come up with different ways. And not only birds, even at home, in your own home, you can have your pets. You can create feeders for your pets, such as cats and all that. You can create feeders from plastic bottles for your cats, which will come in handy when it comes to cost reduction. Because we know these feeders, when you go buy your cat feeder in a convenience store or a supermarket, the cost is very high. So all these things that we've discussed will help you reduce costs of maintaining your farm. And also, it will improve quality. Some of these things are even better than the commercial alternatives, right? So I hope whatever it is that you're willing to try one of these things. I've tried, I think, 90% of them. What I've not tried is the greenhouse, which I think I'm going to do very soon. And once I do, I'll be able to do that video and post it. So I hope you've learned one or two things about some of the do-it-yourself ideas when it comes to plastic bottles. Thank you for staying tuned till the end. If you like this video, kindly click on the like button, share, post your feedback. Let's hear what you have. I'm sure these are not the only DIY ideas that are out here when it comes to plastic bottles. So if you have more, kindly send them through our comment section so that other people can also learn. As we said, Africa Farming is a learning platform where we learn together. So until next time, changamka na ukulima.